Uh, I think we reached the limited time of Instagram live video, and again I'm gonna ask Francesca to join us. I have to wait for a couple of minutes. Francesca, would you please join with Playing Without Pain? You are joining your personal page. I don't know if it's okay, I can add you. Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm on the right page now. Okay.
Hello again. I think we reached the limited time of IG Live.
Yeah,
It's 1 hour, and we have to start it again. Okay, let's wait for maybe 1 minute until the audiences join us again, and we make sure that they won't lose anything.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, did you do that? How was that?
Or am I holding too much tension still? I can't really. Too much tension.
Too much tension that you're using.
Okay.
It has to be real.
Yeah, I've never done anything like this before, so this is really interesting. Okay. So it has to be like.
Yes, you have to hold your hand in this position, you know. It's like this. Let me show you. Again. I think it's okay. See, it's like this. I'm really relaxed in my shoulders. There's no tension here. Do something like this. I just make a face in a really free way.
Like that?
No. Let's do it one by one, okay? Let's do the first one at first, okay? Here it is. Do you see my hand? Okay, the next one. The next one.
Okay.
And the next
your
one.
fingers, should they just be curved, or should they actually like snap, or should they just be like curved like that?
No, they are curved.
Like this?
Yes, okay. the last one.
Okay.
Really relaxed. Okay.
Like that?
Okay. When you're done, at the end of it, your hands should be something like this, and it's all relaxed. There's no tension. Okay. Okay. Now you have to put your thumb here and open your fingers up to here. It's something like this, 90 degrees. Okay, now slowly you open them one by one. It really helps independence of the finger.
Okay. Yeah, my pinky doesn't move.
But
that's interesting. It doesn't move freely.
It's
interesting.
It's a common knowledge. Don't worry.
Yeah. Wow. But then everything else is like okay.
No.
Okay.
The thumb should be here. And you open them one by one. Yeah. You see, they go something like this.
Okay.
Yes, there is independence of the fingers, and they help you to warm up a little bit. There are some more exercises but because I have to do them on the table because they are instrumentless, I just choose one of them that was easy to show here because we don't have some
Thank you. I'm going to practice
here.
that.
I'm really sorry.
I hope it was helpful for everyone else. That was really interesting. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. But before doing something like this, because it really helps the independence of the fingers, we usually give the students some fundamental exercises because starting doing this at the beginning will be really difficult for them. and they usually do it with a lot of tension and pressure. And that's why before just teaching them these exercises, we give them some fundamental exercises to get rid of the possible tensions and be relaxed and have the ability. We say, for example, our instrumental exercises are in different levels. We start from the beginners, we teach them, and they really help your instrument playing because, for example, in instrument playing, you need independence. You find it here. You need, for example, vibrato. You find it in instrumentless exercises, and we really believe that it's much more easy to understand that when you are not playing your instrument, because playing an instrument is something new for you, for all of us, and learning new techniques on it will be really difficult. Just imagine I'm a guitarist. My hands are not in a good posture for learning new things, but our instrumental exercises are like this, so we can really learn them. This exercise is the number 12 of our exercises, and we teach more than five or six exercises.
That's really good to know. I'm definitely gonna look into that and keep practicing, because my my pinky was like not moving the same as the other fingers. That was really interesting. But thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Okay, I want to ask you a couple of more questions, and then there are some people who have had some question, and Yasaman wrote them for us. I'm gonna ask them those questions. But before that, 2 more questions have been left. Let me ask you those ones. In your estimation, why do musicians ignore pains? It has always been a big, and controversial issue.
In my experience, I think people ignore it as a result of fear. I've always ignored my pain because I was afraid that I would have to stop playing, or I would be pulled out of ensembles, or I would have to turn down gigs, because a lot of my income when I was in undergrad was through performing. And so I was taking as many as possible. I was worried that if I really admitted to being in pain and I went to seek help, that I would be told that I have to stop playing. And I've heard some horror stories of musicians in performing positions where they would admit to being injured in the past, and they would either be let go of the orchestra because the orchestra was afraid that they wouldn't be able to play, or something similar like that. And that's been in a lot of readings that I've done too. That's why there has been such a stigma around injuries, because in the past, when people did open up about injuries, they were either fired or let go from their jobs. And so that's just very scary, and it's not a healthy way to discuss these issues. I do think that is getting better though, because I think a lot more people are aware of it and more accepting of it, and actually so many people have experienced it on their own. So it's like, it's more of a compassion when people open up now. And again, going back to this Instagram community, it's just really opening up a space for people to talk about their own experiences, which I think is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I really agree with you, because of the fear and, you losing their jobs or stuff like that. They usually ignore the pain. I agree with you. And that the number is increasing. I want to ask you the number of injured musicians. I want to ask you about the performance-related injuries and the approaches toward it. How popular is that? These approaches, in New York and in the United States. Do musicians use them or not?
Are you asking about the number of people injured, or are you asking about the prevention and treatment?
No, I'm asking about the performance-related injuries approaches, and are they really popular in the New York or not?
Definitely getting more popular in the last few years, and it's been a result of people discussing it more and researching it more. It's really, performing arts health has really grown within the past 10 years, but any time before that, it was just really not very widely researched. And so because of that, there weren't really many options available for musicians who were injured. But 10 years is really not a long time at all. So it's really wonderful to see how far we've come in just that short amount of time. But now I am seeing that there are a lot more schools that are initiating wellness programs, and they're hiring Alexander Technique and body mapping teachers, and they're creating courses for their students to take. With Alexander Technique and body mapping, a lot more teachers themselves are aware of the importance of teaching efficient practicing habits and teaching students to take breaks and teaching stretches and not to play through pain. So there's definitely a lot more of a positive progress that I've been seeing in at least American education, but there's still a long way to go, I think, because a lot of schools have limited funding, so they're not able to hire these types of teachers. And I think that's the biggest obstacle that I'm hoping to help overcome by providing less expensive methods of providing performing arts self-education to students.
Money has always been a big issue, you know. It never let people work, you know, as they want. How about the universities? Are there any special course in universities
so in my master's
in the United
degree,
States?
there was actually an Alexander Technique course you could take. It filled up very quickly, unfortunately, so not everyone was able to take it since there was only one teacher. But I had the opportunity to, and also I took a performance techniques course, which talked a lot about performance anxiety and efficient practicing, and really just learning how to implement better habits in the practice room and in your daily life. In my undergrad, we didn't have anything like that, unfortunately. But since I did my research and since I started my website, the teachers that I was working with on that project have since started a wellness initiative at my undergrad. So I think it really just comes down to someone starting the discussion. Oops. Can you see me? Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I have
a low battery notification, so just a heads up. But yeah, it comes down to people just starting a discussion and doing the research and doing the work and just presenting those statistics to the leaders in the institutions and just kind of describing why it's so necessary to start.
Okay. I don't want to make you more tired because I know it's getting longer and longer. I'm gonna ask questions that they have written for us. Let me bring my laptop. Okay. My wife has written them on my laptop. My wife is a MuseMuscle teacher. She's a certified MuseMuscle teacher, and she has written them for me, and I'm gonna ask you. I usually have pain from the right trunk. This is the right arm. I think someone has written. There are some injured musicians who ask about their injuries and if they can, find any association or stuff like that, they can help them. One of the pianists asked us when she's playing the piano, she feels a lot of pain in his hands. I don't know if is he or she, I'm not sure, but there are a lot of pain. What should she or he do?
As far as I know, it's a lot about the posture, and it's not always about sitting up straight because your spine isn't straight, your spine is curved. So it's really about finding the neutral posture. And I've been finding that through my research in body mapping. There's actually a couple pianists that specifically work with other pianists on performance-related injuries. I do have that listed on my website. And also in terms of other people's questions about associations they can contact, I have all of that on my website. So if people want to visit playingwithoutpain.com, and that's the link is in my bio. There's so many resources that I have listed there that for all instrumentalists. So if you go to the performance-related injuries, and I think there's a resources page. I haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks. I think that's what it's titled. It's pretty clear, but there's a database of resources. There's associations that you can find. There's professionals that work with specific instruments. So if you have any questions, you can send me a DM to whoever asked that question.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to ask another question. I think you're certified in performance medicine.
Yeah,
what was the name of that
Performing
association?
Arts Medicine Association.
I forgot it.
They did a certification course this summer, and they do it every year, but this year it was online. So I took it, and I know several other people that are taking it as well. It's basically an informational course about performance-related injuries in performing artists. And each of the chapters is presented by a medical professional or a professional in the performing arts health industry. So it was really informative. And then you take an exam at the end to get the certification. So I just completed that, and I do know a couple other people that are in the process of completing it as well.
Do they use physiotherapists or chiropractors in treatments for musicians, or they just teach them Alexander technique or stuff like that?
There's several different options. I personally have seen a chiropractor before, but then I realized that that actually didn't help my recovery. But for other people, I know that it really helped them. So it really just comes down to knowing what you need. And also physiotherapists, I have heard of people going to them before for injury treatment as well. So there's just a very wide spectrum of professionals that can help musicians.
I got it. Someone asked, what can we do for experiencing freely, playing the flute, of course, when I'm playing performance in the flute? What can I do to experience a free and relaxed position? Do you have a special exercise?
That's a multi-layered question. I would love to go deeper into that. If whoever asked that, if you want to send me a message, I can explain more. But for the time being, a warm-up that I like to do is, I think I have a video on it on my YouTube channel, but it basically, you have your flute in your lap or your instrument, and you do a body scan. And you just start with the top of your head, and it's a breathing exercise, and you notice wherever you have tension, you slowly scan down your body. And whenever you find an area of tension, you spend a moment on it, breathe deeply, and try and release it. And so this actually helps calm down the mind as well. And then after that, you place your hands on your instrument and also notice if you're having any tension when you put your hands on the instrument as well. And if you are, just spend a moment and breathe through that as well. And then I like to focus on just playing one note, picking your favorite note on the instrument. And actually you can take your flute up and you can move it around in circles just to kind of throw your body off. So it's not like you're going up to play, because that can cause a lot of tension for a lot of people. So if you're actually like moving it around in random and silly positions, it can help throw your body off so that when you do come to play, maybe some of that tension has been relieved. And then you play your favorite note, and while you're playing that note, you just realize what tension you're holding when you're playing it. And so you have to be mindful of that as well and try and release it. And then you can move into some improvisation and play really whatever you want. And so that really helps free me up as well. And I did the exercise in a lecture I did recently, and it was pretty positively received. So I think it's really just a matter of kind of getting away from the music that we're practicing and the exercises that we're so used to doing, because we can hold a lot of tension in those. So it's kind of just improving your own relationship to the instrument and then gradually building that into introducing the repertoire again. So you can do that every day before you practice. Hopefully that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe by doing this, you are removing the strain places that you may, face on your shoulders. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you hear me now? Yes, I said by doing this exercise, you are trying to get rid of the possible tensions and strain places on your shoulders and on your arms. Yes,
and it helps.
If I'm right,
with the exercises we were doing earlier with the arm circles, it helps to actually do that with your instrument as well. because it really just, for me, it helps me improve my relationship to the instrument and realize, oh, I can play this without having a lot of tension, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. And for the last question, because I don't want the live to be in a real line, I'm going to show it. Yes. Do you think that in near future we will have the chance to have these approaches in universities all over the world to help the musicians, you know, not experiencing pain, injuries, or maybe career-ending injuries, which are awful. We know that as a musician we are addicted to music. It's a good addiction, of course, and if we imagine a day that we are not able to play our instrument or play music, that day is awful for all of us, of course. We know each other as musicians. Do you think that in near future we would have the chance to you know, have these courses in universities and schools, and musicians have you know, have the chance to learn them exactly the time that they start learning their instrument?
As I mentioned earlier, that's really one of my goals in my research, at least. I would love to implement performing arts health education just from the very beginning, and I think that can happen by teachers themselves being more aware of the amount of students that are developing performance-related injuries. I think every teacher should have some form of awareness of Alexander technique and body mapping, just so that they can be prepared when a student comes to them and says, oh, I've been really hurting when I'm playing. So I think we have a responsibility as teachers to cultivate that sense of awareness, and even if the university isn't able to provide it for us. So it can start from the teachers first, but then it can also start by just continuing to do the research and continuing to discuss it, and just showing the statistics to the universities. And so the specific study I did was really helpful because it showed, okay, 84% of students are actually injured right now. Here's how we can help them. So it really takes people advocating for that, and also just the responsibility of teachers that we have and the commitment that we're making to our students and making sure that they're staying healthy in all parts of their lives. It's really a mentorship role. And as I'm accumulating more students, I'm noticing that more and more, and I'm constantly thinking about what can I do to help them, and what can I provide to them that maybe I didn't have when I was younger to prevent injuries, and also to help treat them if they already have it. So I think it's really just, we have to accept that responsibility, and then we also have to push for change. But right now, I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's really sad that live performances are canceled and we're not able to play music with each other. But it is giving an opportunity for people to address their injuries and talk about it. And I've been seeing a lot more discussion about it even within the past few months. So I think that's really great.
Thank you, thank you. And my last question: how do you see MuseMuscle, you know, in comparison with other methods that you have, you know, absolute command about, of course? How do you find MuseMuscle in this field?
Yeah.
Is it useful? The exercises?
I haven't seen anyone specifically talk about the strengthening of the small muscles and the importance of warming up small muscles before we play. And so I think that's just another layer that will be so helpful to preventing and treating injuries for musicians in the future. So I'm so glad you reached out to me, and I'm so glad that I found you guys. I think it's going to be a really great component to performing arts health.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for joining us and you know, get in touch with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are honored. You're welcome. And to conclude, I want to thank you for, you know, your wonderful website, your wonderful Instagram page. They are all really informative, and they can really help musicians. They help me to learn about different methods, and I think what you are doing is great. I really want to thank you. We really appreciate your approach toward these problems, these performance-related injuries. And I want to thank you for joining us. It was our pleasure. I learned a lot from you, and I hope I can, invite you one more time because we have a lot to
Anytime
talk about.
You want to talk, I'm definitely available. This was really helpful for me too, and I learned a lot. Even the exercises that you were teaching me, I'm definitely going to go practice those. So thank you so much for having me. It was wonderful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. You too. In fact, it's late at night. It's around, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, good night
then. Thank you again for joining us. It was my pleasure. Hope to see you again.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Bye. خب مرسی از تمام عزیزانی که از ایران به ما اضافه شدن. من یه خورده آخرش فارسی صحبت کنم. ما فرانچسکا لیو رو داشتیم که مؤسس سایت Playing Without Pain هست و ریسرچ خیلی عمیقی روی قضیه آسیب‌های نوازندگی انجام داده. تقریبا با تمام کسایی که توی دنیا توی این زمینه کار میکنن در ارتباطه و وبسایتش و صفحه اینستاگرامش حکم پلتفرمی داره که همه کسایی که حالا موزیسینایی که آسیب دیدن یا کسایی که توی این زمینه فعالیت میکنن فرانچسکا رو کم و بیش میشناسن و باهاش در ارتباطن. خودش نوازنده بسیار خوب فلوت از نیویورک امریکا بهمون اضافه شده بود و به عنوان سولویست با خیلی از ارکسترا کار کرده و بسیار دقیق هم روی بحث نوازنده بسیار خوبی، هم روی بحث آسیب‌های نوازندگی و تخصص و ریسرچش در واقع هست. لایو خیلی خوبی بود. من خودم خیلی ازش یاد گرفتم. امیدوارم که برای هممون مفید بوده باشه. ما این برنامه رو چند هفته پشت سر هم دیگه داریم. هفته آینده ما آستین رو در واقع میزبانی خواهیم کرد که روش خودش رو داره توی در واقع جلوگیری از آسیب‌های نوازندگی، بسیار آدم دقیقیه و هفته بعدش ادی رو خواهیم داشت که حالا پوستراش رو خواهیم گذاشت. ادی هم فارغ التحصیل جولیارد، مسترش رو تو جولیارد خونده، مربی الکساندر، مربی سوزوکی. هفته آینده نه هفته بعد با ادی خواهیم داشت. امیدوارم که برای همتون مفید بوده باشه این لایو و هممون استفاده کنیم و بتونیم یه زندگی بدون آسیب رو تجربه کنیم. شب همتون بخیر. خدا نگهدار.